I'm Dr. Scott Theirl, and this is my practice, Functional Restoration. I became a chiropractor 20 years ago to focus on complex cases specializing in neurology. Subscribe and welcome.
Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Scott Theirl. I'm a board-certified chiropractic neurologist, and I'm the founder and owner of Functional Restoration, my private practice in southeastern Wisconsin. It is 2020, January of 2020, and it is my 21st year in practice, which is already hard to believe just how fast it always goes. But it's exciting to share always new ideas and new stories with you. And I had a fun question this week from one of my patients that I thought I would share with you because chances are some of you have had this same scenario happen and you've wondered why it is that you do it. She said, Scott, when I'm in meetings and lots of people are talking all around me, I tend to like to doodle. Why is that? Why do I want to be busy with my hands? And why does it help me listen to things better, especially in busy, loud, more intense environments? She's like, I've always been that way. It's nothing new, but it's not going away as I get older. She said, sometimes it causes trouble because people think I'm not paying attention, right? Which would be a huge problem in a business meeting. And that's exactly where the example was that she was sharing with me. So we talked about it a little bit. I said, super interesting. And here's a little bit of insight into that. We have a pathway in our nervous system that helps connect our hands and our feet to our frontal cortex. And there's certain portions of our brain that coordinate motor movement. The specific ones that does your fingers and the hands, as well as your toes and your feet, is called your dentate nucleus in your cerebellum. That dentate nucleus works its way up and eventually gets over to the frontal lobe of your brain, right? So if you're wiggling your right hand and doodling with your right hand, you're really stimulating your left frontal cortex in terms of the motor options of how it's moving your hand. That pathway is a mouthful. It's called your dentatorubrothalamocortical feedback mechanism. And it helps you coordinate fine motor skills for your hands and your feet. It's incredibly important. It's a huge pathway, and we use it all day long, from balance to walking to writing to typing to driving, you name it, anything that involves your hands and your feet and your fingers and your toes, you're firing this pathway. Now, here's the neat thing. From a development perspective, fine motor skills that are highly coordinated, such as writing or doodling, use the dentatorubrothalamocortical pathway in a very nice mechanism that can increase attentional systems. Your frontal lobe has an area called your prefrontal cortex, and it helps you focus and pay attention. Now, if you happen to be doodling more with your right hand and you're firing your left prefrontal cortex, well, that might be better for solving very linear thought types of processes, right? And if you find that you have something that you need to solve spatially, such as you're rearranging a room and you're not sure what to do, you may actually want to try to doodle with your left hand a little bit and fire your right prefrontal cortex and see if some of those spatial relationships come on. Those are just different little hints and tricks that we use to give people while they're problem solving. It may be tapping a pencil, right? It may be flipping a quarter between your fingers. It may be using a stress ball, right? Or a silly putty like that. All of that fires that beautiful big dentatorubrothalamocortical pathway. And there's nothing wrong with that. The key is just making sure that you find something that can help you fidget, right, or doodle that doesn't disturb people around you. Whether you're a child or an adult, it's the same pathway, and it goes through and does some of the same functions. It's one of the big arguments behind making sure that kids are wonderful at handwriting, because handwriting uses very fine motor skills, right? Especially potentially cursive. And we're seeing cursive writing fall right out of the school system is it's being replaced with typing. Typing certainly uses some fine motor skills, but you don't move your hands and fingers nearly as much with typing as you do with a cursive type of handwriting across a page. So that's one of the arguments for attentional systems being challenging these days. Now, that's one of many arguments. Don't just say, oh, cursive comes back and we get rid of all the ADD and ADHD. That's not what I'm saying at all. But fine motor skills that do that, coloring, drawing, painting, writing in cursive. These are all wonderful things. Listen, all of the sensory motor planning, it's what we do here at Functional Restoration all day long. We help patients, regardless of their age, come in and optimize what you see with how you move, with what you hear. And all of that together is called sensory motor processing. We use things like interactive metronome to do that, and metronome exercises. We use a lot of visual processing and gaze stability movements. We use virtual reality to help with peripheral vision processing. And we tie it all together with the use of integrative medicine, helping with things like neurotransmitters and hormones, food allergies, and inflammatory challenges, so that your whole brain and your whole body work beautifully. If you're in southeastern Wisconsin and you need some help with some of these things, let me know. We tend to attract cases like ADD and ADHD, autism spectrum, people that have had concussions and just aren't bouncing back even though they've been resting for 1, 3, 6 months, and other various neurologic challenges, chronic pain, headaches, balance disorders, tremors. You get the idea. But in the meantime, if you have the chance to explain the dentatorubrothalamocortical mechanism and why it is you like to doodle or fidget, even in big meetings where you're paying lots of attention, and how it helps your prefrontal cortex with cognitive processing, now you know why it happens. I'm Dr. Scott Theirl. I want to thank you for your time today. I'm wishing you your very best brain, your very best body, and your very best life. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to our channel and be sure to hit the bell button so that you're notified when we release another video. If you're on social media, follow us. That's always a fun way to stay connected. And if you know a friend or a family member that needs some help, please share this video with them. Take care.